Okay, so these are the inequality notes. So what an inequality is, well, first let's go over what the signs are. First, what does a less than sign look like? Less than sign looks like this. Okay, less than. Greater than sign looks like this. Less than or equal to, alright. What it is it's a hybrid between an equal to sign, which is just the bottom part, and a less than sign. So less than or equal to. Greater than or equal to, also the same idea. Okay? Now, let me first explain how to solve an inequality sign. Okay? So, both these problems, they look almost identical except for one has a less than sign and one has an equal to sign. So, let me explain something. When solving these, you solve it the same way. For this one, you first add 5 to both sides. Okay, so you end up with 3x is less than 15. So you start with that. The next step is to get rid of the 3 next to the x. You divide by 3, divide by 3. X is less than 5. Okay? Now let's do this one over here. Same exact concept, same exact way. First you're going to add 5. That gives you 3x equals 15. Next you divide by 3. That gives you x equals 5. Now what you'll notice about these two different things is one's a less than sign and one is an equal sign. What an equal sign means is that the only value for x is 5. What a less than sign means is that any number that is less than 5 can be the answer to this. That means it can be anywhere from negative a billion to just 4.9. Any of those numbers in between will work for this, because all I need to do is make this equation up here less than 10. And to do that, x has to be less than 5. Now, when you get to something like this, where it's a multi-step equation, you're going to solve it just like you would solve a regular equation with an equal sign. So we're just going to pretend this is an equal sign. That's all we're going to do. So, I'm going to label my x house and my number house. Okay, so the bigger of the two x's is the 5. My number house is the 3. Okay? And as you can remember, anything that has an x next to it is considered an x. Anything that does not have an x is considered a number. So we're first going to look at what's in the number house that shouldn't be. Well, this 3 has an x next to it, but this 5 has nothing next to it. So the 5 is actually the number. That means that the 3x does not belong in the number house, so we have to get rid of that. So we're going to subtract the 3x away. Okay? So you're going to get negative 5 is greater than or equal to 2x minus 15. Now we had to get anything that's out of the x house out of the x house. So we're always going to add or subtract to get anything out of the x house or the number house. Okay? So finally, we're going to get rid of that 15 by adding 15 to both sides. Okay? So it can give us 10 is greater than or equal to 2x. Once you've done that, you're just going to divide by 2. You're going to divide by 2. You're going to get 5 is greater than or equal to x. Now I'm going to teach you how to graph this on a number line, but in order to do that, we always want this x on the other side. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to flip the x, and I'm going to flip the 5. Okay? Now, we're looking at this mouth. This mouth is opening up to the 5, so the mouth is still going to open up to the 5. So essentially the sign just flipped. There's something you need to know before we move on, and that is what is an open and what is a closed circle. What do these mean? If you'll notice, it's a closed circle if you have a line under it. It's an open circle if the inequality does not have a line under it. So for this case, it's going to be a closed circle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a little number line. Put 5 here. This tells me I need a closed dot, so I'm going to put a closed dot. And now since the x is on the left, and that's what we made sure of, we can actually tell what direction our arrow is going to go in by just looking at this. If you consider this to be like an arrowhead, it's pointing to the left, meaning that this would go to the left. Okay? This one over here, same idea. We're going to label the x house, which is this 4 because it's bigger. We're going to label the number house, which is the -3 side because it's got a, it's on the other side. Step 1. What's in the x house that shouldn't be in the x house? Well, we have an x and we have a non-x. Well, obviously the non-x has to go. So to get rid of a +6, you have to subtract 6. Now remember, it can only go with things like itself. That means the 20 is going to be subtracting 6. We can't do it from the 3 because the 3 has an x. So it becomes 4x is less than -3x plus 14. Now we need to get rid of the -3x because it's in the number house uninvited. So we add 3x to both sides. This becomes 7x is less than 14. Our last step, get rid of the 7. Okay, so we got to divide by 7, divide by 7. So x is less than 2. Once we've gotten that, we now have to make our number line. The x is on the left, so we can do our number line. There's no line under this, so that means it's going to be an open circle. So I'm going to write 2, open circle, and I'm going to draw it to the left because the arrow is showing it going to the left. So that means any number smaller than 2, which would be this one in the number line, will work for this. So what I want you to try now is the U-tries. These 2 U-tries. So pause the video, try the U-tries, and then come back for a quick explanation. Okay, I'm going to label this the x, this the number, because the bigger of the 2 x's. Okay, so I'm going to first add 6 to both sides. Becomes 8x is greater than 2x plus 18. Then we're going to subtract the 2x. It's 6x is greater than 18. Last but not least, you got to divide by 6. Divide by 6. So x is greater than 3. If we're going to draw a little thing, number line, we're going to put a 3. This means no line, so we have an open circle, and it's going to the right. Same thing over here, x house, number house. First get rid of the 9 out of the number house. Get 7 is less than or equal to 2x minus 4. They're going to add 4 to both sides. You get 11 is less than or equal to 2x. Then you divide by 2. So you get 11 over 2 is less than or equal to x. Now, since this x is on the wrong side, we want it on the left hand side. Let's switch the numbers and switch the sign. Now we can tell which way our number line should go. So we're going to make a little number line. going to put 11 over 2. This arrow is pointing to the right, so we're going to make a little closed circle because there's a line underneath, and that way. Okay. Now, when multiplying and dividing by negative, there's something special you need to know. So first let me show you. If I subtract 6 from both sides, okay, that would be our first step on this one. You would get x over negative 5 is less than 1. Our next step is to multiply by negative 5. That crosses those out. You multiply by negative 5 on the other side, and that gives you x and negative 5. But there's something special about dividing and multiplying by negative. What we do with this sign, alright, is it flips. So now it's going to face the other way. So whenever you multiply or divide by negative, you flip the sign. On this one right here, first you'd subtract 6. Negative 2x is greater than or equal to 6. Then you divide by negative 2. Because we're dividing by this negative 2, we're going to flip this sign. So it's going to be x is greater than or equal to, or less than or equal to negative 3. Okay? So you try. I just want to see if you can flip the sign. Okay, pause the video and then we'll come back for the answer. Okay, step 1 is get rid of this 2. So you get x over negative 3 less than or equal to 4. Then you multiply by negative 3. That gives you x by itself. Gives you negative 12. And this sign, it flips. Same idea over here. Subtract 8. Subtract 8. Negative 3x is greater than 6. Divide by negative 3. Divide by negative 3. X is greater than negative 2. Actually, less than, because I had to flip the sign. Or flip the inequality sign. Okay, so that's how you solve an inequality. Now let me show you how to graph an inequality. Just like with the answer key and the open and closed circles, these give you different types of lines. For example, if you notice, this doesn't have a line underneath and this one does. This one gives you a dotted line. This one gives you a solid line. Okay? So, dotted, solid. What you also know about inequalities is that when you graph these, you have a side shaded. So that means that there's not just one answer, there's a multitude of answers. So that's why we had to shade. Okay, for example, on this first one, we want to get into that y equals mx plus b form because we need it so that we can actually graph correctly. Step 1, you always want to get rid of the x first. Okay, that gives me negative 5y is less than or equal to negative 3x plus 15. Because remember, we cannot take 15 minus 3x. The reason is that they are not like terms, so we just end up leaving it like this. Our next step is to divide by negative 5 on all three things. Now, this gives me y by itself. This 3 over 5 becomes a positive 3 over 5x because two negatives makes a positive, and this 15 divided by negative 5 becomes negative 3. Now I want you to think about what happens to this sign. If you figured it out, it should flip because we just divided by a negative. So it flips this way. Okay? Now let's actually try to graph this. So our y-intercept is at negative 3, so I'm going to put a dot at negative 3. My slope is 3 over 5, so I can go up 3. 1, 2, 3, go over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Put a second dot. And this line underneath means we are going to do a solid line. So I'm going to make a solid line. Now this is the hard part, figuring out which way to shade. This is what's known as the origin. The origin's points are 0, 0, or the x is 0 and the y is 0. We're going to use this as a test point. Why do we use this as a test point? Because it's the easiest to use. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to figure out whether or not the point lies within the shaded area. If it lies within the shaded area, meaning that we can actually, when we put this into the equation, if it lies within the area, then it will come out as a true statement. If it doesn't lie within the area, then it'll come as a false statement. And let me explain that here in a sec. So if I plug 0 in for x and 0 in for y, because that's what our x and y is, let's figure out what we get. So we get 0 times 3 times 0 minus 5 times 0 is less than or equal to 15. So that means 0 minus 0 is less than or equal to 15, or just that 0 is less than or equal to 15. Now, is this a true statement or not? Is 0 less than or equal to 15? The answer is yes, it is a true statement. So we notice this is the line. This is the half that the origin lies in, the little test point we use. This is the half it doesn't lie in. This is a true statement, so we're going to shade the side that contains it, meaning this side which holds the test point. It has the test point, so I'm shading the side that has the test point. Go on to the next one. Same idea. Let's first get this into y equals mx plus b form. So minus 5x minus 5x, 3y is greater than negative 5x plus 6. Then we're going to divide by the 3 in front of the y. Okay, this is a positive 3, so the sign doesn't change. It's just y is greater than negative 5 over 3 x plus 2. Now let's graph it. Okay, so I'm going to put 2 right there. It tells me to go down 5 and over 3, so we're going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and over 1, 2, 3. There is no line under this thing, so it's going to be a dotted line across. Our last step is our test point. So we're going to plug 0 in for x and 0 in for y. So this is going to become 5 times 0 plus 3 times 0 is greater than 6. Well, we know anything times 0 is 0, so it'd be 0 plus 0, which is end up just going to be 0, is greater than 6. This is a false statement. 0 is not greater than 6. The test point is here on this side right here. Because the test point, or the 0, 0 that we use, is on this side, and this is a false statement, we have to shade the other side. Okay? I want you to try the next one by yourself, and then tune into the video to finish it up. Okay? So we have 4x minus 6y is less than 18. So first get rid of the x. 4x. That's negative 6y is less than negative 4x plus 18. Then we got to divide by negative 6. So you should get y. This is going to reduce down because negative 4 divided by negative 6 reduces down to a positive 2/3. X, 18 minus 6 is minus 3. Now, because we divided by negative 6, this sign right here flips. Okay? So now let's graph. We start at negative 3. We go up 2 over 3. So up 1, 2, go over 1, 2, 3. And it's a dotted line because there's no line under the inequality sign. Our last step is to plug that 0, 0 in to the original equation. So it becomes 4 times 0 minus 6 times 0 is less than 18. Or it's just going to be 0 is less than 18. That is a true statement. This is the side that has the test point on it, so I'm going to shade that side. Okay? I want you to try the worksheet, do as many as you can for practice and stuff like that. Otherwise, let me know if you need more help with these.